It's now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. It's the only daily boxing talk show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
Coming to you live from the Billy C Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Caliger, and it's time for the Billy C Show. Good morning, good day, good evening, whenever you listen. I hope you're doing all right. We got an interesting show today. Manny Pacquiao, Jeff Horn, our post-fight thoughts, all coming up. But first, today's show is being brought to us in part by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian restaurant located on beautiful St. Simon's Island in Georgia. Check out his website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com, or give my man a call, 912-268-2328, 912-268-2328. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by the Southern Gourmet Spice Company. I'm down in the t-shirt now. This is where you can get Kenny Bear's barbecue rub. Love this stuff, but I warn you, once you get it, you're going to become addicted to it. Visit the website, www.southerngourmetspice.com, and tell them Billy C sent you and demand the Billy C discount. And finally, today's show is being brought to us in part by my book. Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet, is available right now where all good books are sold. You can literally get a copy of it right now while you're watching or listening to the show. By visiting barnesandnoble.com or amazon.com. Find out why we got a 5-star rating across the board, and find out why I'm so adamant about getting my man Tom Molyneux the recognition he deserves from a historical perspective. Anyway, let's get right going with it. And by the way, I want to give a special shout out to all of our Facebook Live viewers. Just remember, if you want to get the full show, which is the full video show, the same version that goes out on our television networks and so on and so forth, visit our YouTube page, which is youtube.com/talkin, TALKIN, boxing, BOXING, or just go to our website, BillyCBoxing.com. Manny Pacquiao against Jeff Horn came to us live from Australia over the weekend. We all got to see it here in the States for free on ESPN. My initial thoughts are simply this. First of all, I thought it was a close fight. Unlike Teddy Atlas, who once again is yelling and screaming. He ruins the broadcast, but I would take him any day over Mario Ronaldo. Timothy Bradley, they needed to make sure he knew where he was. He kept saying he was in Argentina and all this other stuff. But anyway, the fight itself was extremely, extremely entertaining. Do I think Jeff Horn won the fight? No, I don't. I think Manny Pacquiao won, but I think Manny Pacquiao squeaked out the fight. I scored the fight 115-113 in favor of Manny Pacquiao. I don't know how all three judges scored it the way they did, especially the judge that had a 117 for Jeff Horn. Clearly, which I'm not into punch stats, but clearly Manny Pacquiao led the way with the meaningful punches and, of course, the solid punches. It appeared to me that the judges scored the fight based on, a fighter moving forward, the aggressiveness, and the fact that Jeff Horn was throwing punches. I will say this. Manny Pacquiao is not the same fighter he was. He's not even close to being the same fighter he was, and he doesn't stand a chance against the top fighters. Now, whether he didn't train hard for this fight or what, I think Manny Pacquiao's career, for all intent purposes, is over, whether you gave him this fight as a W or not. Joining me right now, my partner in crime. He's all the way, he's enjoying better weather than we are probably, but we'll let him get his thoughts. Ladies and gentlemen, Sal Rocky Senicola. Good morning, Sal.
Good morning, Billy C. How are you, my friend?
Not too bad. Did you watch the fight?
Did I watch the fight? I watched it several times. And I'll tell you, it was an entertaining fight. And, after the first round, I was watching at the restaurant with Massimo and Heather. After the first round, Heather said to me, Sal, what do you think? Who's going to win this fight? I said, Heather, from what I saw in the first round, Jeff Horn is going to win this fight. Now, I'll tell you, I was surprised about all three judges, especially the one that had it 117, 112, whatever it might have been. I said, when I heard first it was a unanimous decision, I did feel that Manny squeaked it out. I didn't know what the rounds were until I read the scores. But even when I heard that disparaging distance between the two scores, I said, wow, Manny didn't win that big. But then when they announced Jeff Horn as the winner, I was surprised. I went back and I watched the fight over again, and I tried looking at it from a standpoint of having 3 1-minute rounds in each round. And it's a new thing I'm doing right now.
Well, guess what? That's the way you're supposed to score a fight, really.
What? You're right.
You can't go by, because if you look at a round, if you're looking at a round and you're watching the fight, and then you reach down to your scorecard and score the round at the end of the round, a lot of times, human nature, you have a tendency to give the guy the round who finished strong, Sal, and you forget about the first minute and a half or even 2 minutes of the round. So, no, Steve Farhood said that a long time ago to me. One time we were talking, at an event that we were both at, and I was asking him about scoring techniques and stuff, and he said that he's been doing that. And this was a long time ago, and I've followed that. I try to do it the same way. I try to take each minute and break it down, and the majority wins, And I mean, listen, Manny didn't look good, Sal. I mean, listen, you could say what you want, but he didn't, right?
He did not look good, and it just validated everything I've been saying. Why is Manny Pacquiao fighting, in a sense? To be someone to pass on the baton to a young buck, to do this, to do that, to make millions? Or how does he want to go out? The guy's a Hall of Famer already. He's stellar. He's done things. But I'll tell you what, I was less impressed with Manny than I was impressed with Jeff Horn. Although Jeff Horn, I got to tell you, here's a guy that never fought out of his backyard, and I thought Manny was going to eat him up within 8 rounds. And completely not true. Manny Pacquiao was lucky to not get hurt in that fight, because Jeff Horn, I mean, I saw the size difference too.
That's another. Hey, I don't mean to interrupt you, but that is I thought the same thing, Sal. I was watching that fight and I'm going, if anything, Manny shouldn't even be fighting in the welterweight division. To tell you the truth,
no, he should.
He should be fighting at 140.
What was the first title he won? Flyweight.
Well, yeah, but my point is that he's trying to fight at a comfortable weight. He doesn't have to worry about making 147. He walks around at not too much over that. So for him to make 147 at a weigh-in the day before is a piece of cake. But I think the guy, if he continues, which I don't think he should, but even at this point, I think he should be fighting at 140. He looked way smaller against a guy 10 years younger that clearly was stronger and in decent condition. Jeff Horn, say what you will, but he was in great condition.
The guy came in to fight. The guy had no respect for Manny. He did what he had to do. You know what? If I was to say last week, what does Jeff Horn have to do to win? He's got to be tough. He's got to be the stronger opponent. He's got to maul him. He's got to not give him room to punch and keep him on the outside. And he's got to be in there fighting to win. And he's got to be in great shape. This son of a gun was. He fought as if he was the winner. He mauled Manny. You saw the size difference when Manny was on the ropes, which Manny was on the ropes. And as I said, when I scored 3 1-minute rounds in each round, I still gave the fight 115 to 114 to Manny. But there were a couple swing rounds. There were a couple other things there. But Jeff Horn definitely came in to fight and to make a name for himself. And he did. He wound up doing that. He looked very respectful. I liked his conditioning. I liked how he came forward, throwing punches and bunches. And, it was effective for the three judges to score it in favor of Jeff Horn.
Well, that ninth round for Manny Pacquiao almost got the fight won for him. And,
yes.
In the corner, when the camera shot was on Jeff Horn, he looked totally out of it. And they were saying how bad he was cut, facial and everything else. But I was noticing all the knots and welts on his forehead. And I was saying to myself, this guy, he's taking a battering. Mark Nelson, who I think is a terrible referee, and not that he did anything really stupid in that fight, but I don't know how he got that job. But or let me rephrase it: how he got that assignment. I still don't know how he got the job as a referee, but that's besides the point. But after that round, Manny Pacquiao was out of gas, Sal. And I think it was pretty obvious, because from that point on, that's where, because I was giving a lot of the early rounds to Manny Pacquiao, even though the first round Jeff Horn won, but then Manny Pacquiao started to get into a groove. But after that ninth round, it was Jeff Horn who took control of the fight. But at the end of the fight, my scorecard read 115-113 for Pacquiao. So if all three of the judges scored the fight 115-113, like you said earlier, there were a couple of rounds that you could have gone either way. I'm not going to argue at a fight. To me, 115-113 is a close fight. But 117-111, that gives me the impression that Manny wasn't going to win this fight unless he knocked out Jeff Horn. And that's unfortunate, because, if you listen to the fight without sound, you're going to have a much closer scorecard than if you listen to it with sound and have to be subjected to Teddy Atlas.
I agree.
And his scorecard. His scorecard was almost a complete shutout for Manny Pacquiao. Yeah. But I will say this, Sal, before we take a break. The punch stats. Now, I don't like punch stats during a fight when, commentators, specifically Jim Lampley, uses punch stats as fact, as they're a legitimate statistic, when they're not. And the reason why they're not is because somebody is hitting a key determining whether the punch was landed, whether it was a power shot, et cetera, et cetera. And like I've always said, that's a subjective opinion.
Subjective,
but
absolutely.
When I look at them from a conversational piece, total punches landed, Manny Pacquiao, 32% of his punches, he threw 182. All right, he 182 punches. I'm sorry, he landed 182 punches. That was 32% of his total punches thrown. Horn landed 92, and that was 15% of his total punches that landed. The jabs, Manny Pacquiao landed 59, which was 31% of his total jabs, and Horn 19, which was 10%. And power punches, Pacquiao landed 123 power shots, which was 32%, and Jeff Horn only landed 73 at 17%. Basically, Manny Pacquiao was in the 30% or higher for every single stat, whether total punches landed, jabs, and power punches.
Right.
And Jeff Horn was well below that, and it wasn't even 20% on any of them. And even if you have a plus or minus on the act, the what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, whether they really landed or not. Geez, I'm going blank here, Sal. It must have been too many fireworks the other night.
You took some of those shots.
I did. I think I did. But the truth of the matter is how do you score it? I mean, what fight were they looking at?
No, that was my thought, Bill. I couldn't believe all three went for Jeff Horn, but like I said, by that wide margin, by that one judge, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. It was. I had a hard time. I thought the referee did a decent job.
Yeah, he didn't do anything.
He didn't have to do much.
He didn't do anything
except watch the heads, the butts, and all that stuff.
Right. He didn't do anything that dictated the win for Jeff Horn. Hold that thought. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue our discussion on Manny Pacquiao, Jeff Horn.
Billy C will be right back.
Currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks, like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
If you or a loved one have had hernia repair surgery with mesh reinforcement and suffered infection, chronic pain, mesh migration, mesh failure, organ damage, or needed additional surgery, call the Rely On Group right now. You may be eligible to receive a cash award and compensation for your medical expenses. Your voice deserves to be heard. Call the Rely On Group to be connected with a personal injury attorney for a free consultation. Call 800-715-4869. That's 800-715-4869.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening and watching the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us today. And just a programming note, we will not be doing a live show tomorrow. We intended to do one, but apparently there's not enough stuff happening, and a lot of people, most people, are off. So we will be taking off as well, but we will be back on Wednesday. Joining me right now is Sal Rocky Senecola. We're talking about the Manny Pacquiao Jeff Horn fight. And the truth of the matter is, Sal, Manny showed every bit of his age and the wars he's been in. Credit to Jeff Horn, but in my opinion, he did not win the fight. And I also believe that we do have to give the judges one benefit of the doubt, and the fact is that they were ringside for that fight. How much does that play into it?
Well, it plays enough to have them decide that Jeff Horn won that fight. And I'll tell you what, it's convenient that there was a rematch clause, and I think they are going to have a rematch. And like I used to say with, if Floyd Mayweather fought Manny Pacquiao 100 times, that he would win 99. Well, I feel Floyd Mayweather would beat him 100 times now out of 100. But, Manny, I was, like I said, I was semi-impressed with Jeff Horn, but I was less impressed with Manny. And to think Manny's going to be able to go against the likes of Errol Spence, Keith Thurman, and Kell Brook, no way. He'll never get past those guys.
You know, the funny thing, you make a comment, Manny and Floyd, Floyd will beat him 100. You know, that's like suggesting that Floyd, hasn't aged or anything like that. If Floyd was
he's aged too.
No, but my point is, if he was still so good, why doesn't he fight a young fighter? Why isn't he going after? And I'm not suggesting that Jeff Horn was any world beater, because none of us gave him a chance to beat Pacquiao. But it would be interesting to see Floyd fight a young fighter. Manny Pacquiao has fought several. Floyd doesn't. Floyd doesn't fight. I mean, there's no. You can't compare the records of both Manny Pacquiao and Floyd when it comes to fighting the level of opposition. Manny Pacquiao has certainly challenged himself way more than Floyd Mayweather has over the last decade. There's no question. It's not even close. Not even close.
Question.
Let's just get to some of these scores real quick. Manny Pacquiao, he lost to Jeff Horn. Jeff Horn improves to 17-0 with a draw with 11 knockouts. It was a unanimous decision in case you missed it. All three judges gave it to Jeff Horn. 117-111, which Sal and I both think was a little out there. And then the two others had it 115-113. I personally scored the fight 115-113 for Manny Pacquiao. Manny drops to 59 wins, 7 losses, and 2 draws, with 38 of his wins coming from by way of knockout. There was almost 52,000 people in attendance to watch this fight from the land down under. Great atmosphere in Australia. Also on that card in the junior bantamweight division, title holder Jerwin Pretty Boy and I apologize because I couldn't pronounce his name the other day and I can't pronounce it now. And Kajaz successfully defended his title by stopping Teru Kinoshita in the 7th round. Kinoshita drops to 25 wins, 2 losses, and a draw. A fight that I enjoyed watching, Olympian from the UK, or actually from Ireland, same thing, I guess. Michael Conlon improved to 3-0 with 3 knockouts when Jarrett Owen was his corner threw in the towel at 1 minute 56 seconds of the 3rd round. Was not much of a fight for Conlon, but this kid shows some promise. Also in the middleweight division, David Toussaint improved to 11-0 with 8 knockouts when he scored an 8-round split decision over Sugar Shane Mosley's son, Shane Mosley Jr., who drops to 10-2 now. The way the scores were 77-76 twice for Toussaint, and one judge had it 77-75 for Mosley. In another fight, and I don't know if anybody saw this one, but I was shocked at this. I have never, and we're going to have Dax Khan coming on here a little bit later, but I know you missed it, Sal, but this fight, I have never witnessed anything like this at all in my life, all right, watching fights. And, of course, it happened in Russia, so that doesn't shock you, right? Alexander Povetkin, the heavyweight that we were actually talking about on Friday, wondering how many chances he gets. He's tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs several times, 2 times against in the last his last 2 fights. He fought Andrei Rudenko in a heavyweight fight, and there was a WBA Intercontinental belt on the line. I think there was even another one, but here's what happened, Sal. The first round. Okay, the very first round, probably around halfway through the first round, and by the way, Povetkin is a finished fighter. Forget about him, challenging AJ or and I got news for you. Even Deontay Wilder, who I think is a fraud with a capital F, would destroy Povetkin. So there is no need for him to fight because Povetkin is nothing. But in the first round, Sal, okay, Povetkin and Rudenko are in an exchange, and Povetkin was throwing and landing some hard punches. And while they're in a clinch, Povetkin kind of hits Rudenko on the back, not really on the back of his head, like a rabbit punch, which I know you're probably still talking about. You're a professional with seeing and calling rabbit punches, but it was more on the upper part of his neck. So it was below his head, but kind of on his neck. And as Rudenko pulls away, because the referee gets in between them and pulls away, he kind of like goes to crack his neck a little bit. You know, like when you kind of snap your neck from side to side.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, it looks like his neck is out of whack. It's like tilted to the side, okay? He starts looking at the referee, pointing to the back of his neck, and I don't know, I don't speak Russian, but I assume he was trying to complain that Povetkin hit him with an illegal punch. Sal, they stopped the action, and it had to be, and I didn't time it, and I probably should have, it had to be almost 5 minutes, okay? And what's happening during this time? Povetkin is sent to a neutral corner, and they are massaging this guy's neck, his corner, the other people, the officials. They're all working on him. They're working on him live in the fight. And the referee kept coming over. He's going to the thing, and I'm saying to myself, and the guy can't straighten out his neck. So he's sitting there with his neck cracked. He's hanging over like this, you know. And it was the other way. And, the referee's like saying, well, we're going to have to stop this fight. And he's going, no, we're not going to stop the fight. And after all of this, I'm saying, well, this has to be ruled a TKO. It has to be. It was not an illegal punch. He did not call it as an illegal punch, and it wasn't an illegal punch. And they work on him, massaging him, giving him back rubs, giving him water, wiping him down. I mean, it was the most outrageous thing I've ever seen in a fight.
Wow.
And then what happens? They go, continue. Go ahead, continue. And they let them fight, okay? And as it turns out, Rudenko, with his cracked, curved neck for the rest of the fight, goes the distance with Povetkin and loses a decision. He was looking for a disqualification, ends up losing the fight. It was a shutout. Povetkin, two of the judges scored at 120. One had it 120, 109. The other two had it 120, 108. I mean, it was a shutout. There's no question about it. But this guy showed nothing. He is not going to beat any of the top fighters that we talk about now. But have you ever heard of any shenanigans like that? Even in Russia, I'm shocked.
No, never. I mean, I don't even know if it was that long of a time period that they ever offer to when you get hit below the belt. But I mean, that's bizarre. It really is. To Russia would love.
Oh, it was bizarre as an understatement. If any of you guys have not seen that, go punch it up and watch the first round. At least the first round.
It's the first round, huh?
Oh! I've never witnessed anything like it in my life. I mean, it was crazy. Is an understatement. Crazy is an understatement. Some other fights in a grudge match. Former world title challenger Carol Murat improved to 30 wins, 3 losses, and a draw with 19 knockouts when he scored an 11th round stoppage over previously unbeaten Dominic Bussell, who loses, like I said, for the first time. He drops to 24-1 with 9 knockouts. The official time, 2 minutes, 56 seconds of round 11. And Oscar De La Hoya's nephew, Diego De La Hoya, got a win in Argentina. He improves to 19-0 with 9 knockouts. And he got a unanimous decision over Alan Lucius, which I thought was the first big test of his career. And I think that this is a guy that needs to get some more fights, I mean, against these level of opposition, because I just think he's got a long way to go, Sal.
Oh, yeah, and that will happen, and he'll have to take on some opponents that he can steadily improve his own style.
Yeah, no, I just think that he's been coddled, and he's just not getting better. This guy that he fought in Argentina had an impressive-looking record, but I didn't see the whole fight, but I saw some clips of it, and he looks the same. De La Hoya, he's not getting any better, and it seems like they're building him up for a big title shot or a payday, and it's not going to end well for him. Similar to Manny Pacquiao, which it didn't end too well for him in Australia. Anyway, hang tight for a second, Sal. We are going to take a short break. When we come back, I will read some emails. We got some comments on the Pacquiao fight. We got Dax Khan scheduled to come up a little bit later. We'll give you some more thoughts on Pacquiao, but before we go to break, I'll leave you with this. Should Manny Pacquiao retire? That's the big question now. Should he retire? Should he call it a day? Feel free to drop me an email, and I'll read it on our next show. Billy at TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com. I'll be back in 2.
Billy C will be right back.
Tell me, Kenny, how is it you rub my belly so fine with that secret rub of yours? And don't even tell me what you're gonna do next. I love you, Kenny Bear. Tell me, Kenny baby, what you gonna do next?
Kenny Bear's Old Florida Barbecue Rub and Seasoning. Grab a bottle today.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you!
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us today. And speaking of being with us, with me right now is my man, Sal Rocky Senecola. And Sal, Manny Pacquiao against Jeff Horn, back to that. You know, it like we said earlier, it showed me that, you know, maybe Manny should consider hanging him up. He did say immediately after the fight that he did want to invoke the rematch clause, which he did have in there. But I, you know, then after that they said maybe not. You know, some of the other comments about it. You know, Manny felt he won the fight. Bob Arum felt he won the fight. Freddie Roach felt that he won the fight. But now he's going to wonder if he's going to continue. Like I said, he said he wanted a rematch. You know, I say to myself, you know, as far as a rematch, does he really need to do a rematch, Sal?
You know, it's a big question. That's going to be for his heart and soul to look in the mirror and really see. I mean, it's hard to retire and leave the game on a note such as the one that he experienced the other night. And I don't know if there's a lesser opponent or something else to make him feel good or whatever. But maybe he should just exercise that clause and do it and get it over with and see what he does. I think Jeff Horn will probably have his number even more convincingly this next time around.
I don't know. I don't know.
Billy, let me tell you something. I've been thinking a lot about this.
Wow, that's a switch.
Hey, what do you think about that? Absolutely. But here, maybe there was a reason why we didn't hear Manny looking at any other opponents other than Jeff Horn, who we virtually really didn't know too much about. And maybe because that was the one that the camp really felt that he had the most likelihood of looking good and beating.
He did look at. Wait a minute, you forgot. You must have forgot. He was evaluating everybody under the sun. Amir Khan was being discussed. There was several fighters.
Well, I know.
And Jeff Horn was the one that waited around. He was their last choice. And the thing is that whether Jeff Horn has his number or not, I don't think. Listen, it boils down to: did Manny Pacquiao lose to Jeff Horn, or did Father Time finally catch up with Manny Pacquiao? That's the question. Because a Manny Pacquiao, even at 38, even admitting that he's not the same Manny Pacquiao of even 3 years ago, I think beats Jeff Horn. Jeff Horn was just a young fighter that was conditioned well, that kept coming forward, and Manny seemed to have nothing on his punches. They weren't really, they were busting up Jeff Horn, but with the exception of the 9th round, nothing really had him in trouble. At least I didn't see any. Did you?
No, and like I said, Manny takes a good shot, and I really do respect Manny. I think he's a great fighter, and that's what I'm saying. To lose against a young buck like a Jeff Horn is going to be something he's got to live with, and I think it's worth his wanting to exercise that rematch clause if he's going to fight again. If he's not going to fight again, then he should just get out. But if he fights again, yeah, I think it's worth to himself to fight Jeff Horn and one more time and see if he can overcome the size difference and everything else. I always thought Manny was fighting bigger than where he should be, but that's another topic for another day. And we'll see.
Bob Arum did say one thing that was correct. He said after this fight, win, lose, or draw, Jeff Horn would be a star, and he certainly is at this point, whether they have the rematch or not. Personally, I feel that Manny should call it a day, focus on his political career, and that's that. One thing I'll say about the ESPN broadcast, Teddy's Teddy. We know what we get with Teddy. Joe Tessitore is a fantastic play-by-play guy, whether you're watching him for boxing. He's also very good with college football. I love the guy, top-notch. Timothy Bradley, as much as I think he's a pound-for-pound top fighter, they should keep him away from the mic, or at least fill him in on where he is and some of the facts that he needs to know while he's doing a broadcast. But, the thing that I've always hated about Teddy Atlas is the fact that Teddy's always right and you're always wrong if you don't agree with Teddy, and there's no in between. I think I'm always right, but I listen to other people, and if somebody gives me a case where they disagree with me and proves me wrong, I'm willing to accept it. I think most rational people are. Not Teddy. Teddy yelling and screaming. But I will say one thing, Sal, that bothered the hell out of me.
What was that, Bill?
Stephen A. Smith doesn't know a left hook from a fish hook. And why they kept going to him and during the when they went back to the studio is beyond me. This guy ruins the broadcast. Listen, it's like if they asked me to go call a tennis match. I don't know the first thing about tennis, except I like watching women play tennis. That's it. Aside from that, I wouldn't be able to call, and I wouldn't want to do it because I would look just as stupid as Stephen A. Smith looked in that studio. What's your thoughts?
Well, it is. You got to know your environment, your element, and where you're best suited, and or best dressed for tennis. I don't know.
He was just he was unknowledgeable. He was unknowledgeable about it. He was repeating what Teddy Atlas said, and with the exception of him being a big Floyd fan, he knows nothing about the sport. So that was terrible. ESPN overall, it was a decent broadcast. Teddy's Teddy, like I said. Going back to the studio was ridiculous. I don't know. We'll see on the next one. We'll get to that later. I got some emails to read, but first, Major League Baseball scores. Red Sox over the Blue Jays 15-1. There were 21 hits by the Red Sox in that game. Indians 11-8 over the Tigers. Cubbies beat the Reds 6-2. Phillies over the hapless Mets 7-1. The Orioles over the Rays 7-1. Giants beat the Pirates 5-3. White Sox over the Rangers 6-5. Marlins beat the Brewers 10-3. Astros topped the Yankees 8-1. Royals beat the Twins 6-2. Mariners over the Angels 5-3. Braves beat the A's 4-3 and 12. Diamondbacks beat the Rockies 4-3. Padres over the Dodgers. My second favorite team. Both of my teams lost. Padres beat the Dodgers 5-3, and the Nationals keep winning 7-2 over the Cardinals. We got some emails to read. First from your man Raheem. He says,
"All right,
I thought the Pacquiao fight was exciting, and I agreed that Horn won the fight. I scored the fight 116-113 for Horn. A rematch would be great. My young cousins in their teens were upset about the judging, but they are in their early teens and still are learning about the sport and how to judge a fight. But we disagree on the judging, but agree on the rematch." Raheem, I know you're fairly young too. You might have just turned 20. You need to learn how to score a fight too, because I don't know if I disagree. I don't know if I agree with your 116-113 score, but some of those rounds were close, and obviously you not liking Manny Pacquiao, you went the other way, which is fully fine. He says, I'm also wondering why people are criticizing the Nevada State Commission on the fight between Mayweather and McGregor. Why can't we just let the two best fighters of their sport earn a living and fight? This is a free country. It's not like China. This fight will help the economy of Vegas and jobs. Like Mayweather said, he's a job creator. Raheem, I don't know what to tell you, Barley. First of all, my criticism of the Nevada State Athletic Commission is solely on the fact that they're sanctioning it as a legitimate fight. This is not a legitimate fight. And if you think that Conor McGregor has any chance against Floyd Mayweather in a boxing match, you are delusional. That's all I got to say. Can you add anything to that email?
No, I think, Raheem is fully due his own opinion there, and I respect that, given the information he has available to him. And, like I said about the whole farce, not a fight that's coming up, it is going to be what it is. And, every day when I talk to people at the pizzeria, and they say, Sal, what do you think? I said, it's not going to be a fight. It's a farce. And, Mayweather's going to probably have a knockout. And they look at me and they say, are you kidding me? I said, what do you think would happen to Mayweather if he went into the MMA arena under the rules and regulations of MMA? What do you think would happen if Conor McGregor did have that scenario and was ready to go? They said, well, he'll destroy Mayweather. I said, yes. Why do you think it's going to be any different when Conor McGregor steps into the arena with Floyd Mayweather? So it is what it is, Bill. We're going to have to bite it, accept it, and go on.
Oh, well, it's not going to be a fight. Whatever, you're right.
It's a farce.
Let's move on.
It's not a fight.
Joel has an email. He says, hey, Billy C., since I know the Pacquiao Horn controversy we discussed on today's show, I was wondering if you and Sal had a chance to watch the PBC bounce card on Friday. If you want to talk about blind judges, I felt Ivan Golub was seriously robbed of a victory over Javante Clark, and I was curious if the two judges in the Easter Jr. and Shakira fight were Robert Easter's mother and father, because I honestly don't know how those two judges scored that fight, 120-108. I agree with you, Joel. Dax will be coming on here in about 15 minutes to give us a breakdown of that fight. I did not watch it live. I only saw clips of it. But according to Dax and the clips that I saw, both fights weren't too cool. Easter might have squeaked out the win, but dominating 120, which suggests he won every single round. No way. But there's another fighter that is overrated immensely. Has had really one tough opponent throughout his career, and I'm not too keen on Robert Easter Jr. But isn't that the case with a lot of these, PBC/Al Heyman fighters? They're all coddled, and very few of them are legit, except for the guys that were already legit before they signed with Al. Got another one here. This one's from my man Bobby from Annapolis. He says, hey, Billy C., just wondering, have you heard anything on Bryant Goodfella Perella? I remember him being on your show last year, and he sounded like things were going well. My father lives next to him in Fort Myers in Florida, and I told him to check this kid out because I heard him on your show. He was really outclassed on that televised card. I saw him against Yordinas Ugas, who I believe was a last-minute sub. Hopefully he has made some adjustments and can get back on the winning track. Thanks for the email, Bobby. I have not heard anything from Goodfella Perella. He was a fighter that seemed like he had a good head on his shoulders. But a lot of times these fighters, they get into a tough fight, Sal, and then their opportunities close. So it may not be any other reason other than him not being able to land the right fights, right?
Well, it's true, and when, like I said, you're viewed in a fight game only as good as your last fight on many levels, and that happens to be when it comes to marketing oneself. You got to be careful.
Yeah, no doubt. Last email. This one's from my man Blakely. I haven't heard from Blakely in a while. Blakely says, "Hey Billy C. In my opinion, this was a close fight." He's talking about the Pacquiao. Jeff Horn fight. He says it's not a robbery. That's the subject. He says, in my opinion, this was a close fight, much closer than Bradley's win over Pacquiao. I thought Bradley was the only person who had a good read on what was happening. Horn was backing Manny up. He was making Pacquiao miss, and he was landing a lot of punches from different angles. I did have Pac winning by a point because I scored the ninth round 10-8, but I thought it was 6 rounds apiece. CompuBox needs to become extinct. There is no way Pac-Man landed 100 more punches. This is my point. And CompuBox is one name, and Show Stats is another. But in case you guys don't know how it works, there's 2 guys sitting ringside with laptops, and they're deciding whether a punch has landed or not. They're also deciding if it was a power shot or not, or a jab. They define a jab. They define a punch thrown. And if it landed, then they pull out whether it was a jab or a power shot. So every punch that's not a jab is considered a power punch. So if you knock me out with a jab, the stat would read 1 jab, no power punches. So, I mean, and not to mention that these guys are subjective. Sometimes they're sitting after the judges are. They are always sitting after the judge. Sometimes they're not even at the table ringside. They're the first row of where the audience is. So these are subjective guys that can't even follow. Half of them, I'm not even sure how good they are. If they were able to do the stats after the fight and go frame by frame, we would be having a different conversation. But these guys are in there making a decision instantly. And you can't go by it as 100% statistic. In baseball, you get up to the plate 10 times, you get 5 hits, you're batting 500. That's a statistic. It's fact. It's there. It's math. If you're a running back in football, you get the ball 10 times, you gain 5 yards a carry, you're averaging 5 yards a carry, you got 50 yards. I mean, it's a stat. It's there. It's fact, Boxing is subjective when it comes to punches and how they land. Is it a punch? Did it land? Was it blocked? Was it a grazed punch? All of these come into play. Me and Sal and you and Joe Schmo could all watch the same punch and then have 4 different opinions on whether it landed flush or not. That's called subjectivity. And to go by the stats, and I did myself read those stats at the beginning of the show because I wanted to show how skewed they were. And they are a topic for discussion, but they're not 100% fact. Blakely goes on to say, I think Teddy's a good broadcaster, but he hurts the sport by telling the viewers that the judging is bad. He does it all the time. One of the judges had a bad score, but two of the judges were reasonable. That Stephen A. Smith guy who said Horn was knocked out, fighters no one's ever heard of, like Ali Fanuka, majority decision loss to Nate Campbell, who came in 3 pounds overweight in a title fight, a split decision loss and a draw to undefeated Johan Guzman, should stick to football or whatever sport he knows because he doesn't know anything about boxing. He's not a boxing guy, and he, too, is hurting boxing by telling viewers that what they saw was a lie. It wasn't a lie. It was a close fight, and the hometown guy won, just like the hometown teams usually win when it's a close contest. Blakely, that's a very good point and a great email, and I agree. Just because he doesn't know the sport. We talked about, Ali Fanuka was him and one other fighter, even though he was past his prime in what's his name? I'm going blank today, Sal.
Hold on, you're fine.
He had two big fights on his resume. I'm talking about Jeff Horn, and he won those two. Those are the only two guys that are reputable names. But when you look at all the other names, yeah, we didn't know them, but that doesn't. Come on, Stephen A. Smith isn't a boxing guy. I don't know. That kind of stuff bothers me, Sal.
Yeah, I know. It bothers me too, but I know. What's the option? It is what it is.
Well, I mean, the option is to have more people that know the sport of boxing involved in the sport.
I know.
I mean, if you're going to have, granted, some of these networks don't, especially sports networks, don't spend a lot of time with boxing, but at least educate the guy that's going to be in front of the camera. Stephen A. Smith is just an opinionated guy, and some people might think he's entertaining. But when you start saying stupid stuff about these fighters, or in cases where he just doesn't know, I agree with Blakely. It hurts the sport.
Yes, it does. I agree. Big time.
I don't know. I just think that it ruined it. It ruined the broadcast. And Teddy Atlas always caught. And another thing that Teddy was saying, which was kind of funny, is he's talking about the Mike Conlon fight during the broadcast. He's talking about the Mike Conlon fight, and he's saying, "Oh well, Mike Conlon. I'll tell you what, right, this opponent he's a stiff. He's going to be knocked out. They're not testing this guy. They're giving him weak opposition." It was his third professional fight. I mean, what does he want him to do? Go in there and fight, an undefeated guy? The worst thing, and talk about Povetkin being a fighter that was totally screwed up. The guy who screwed him up the most. His name?
No.
Well, I won't even tell you his name. I'll just give you his initials. Teddy Atlas. All right? Teddy Atlas screwed this kid up more than anybody. And as soon as Teddy Atlas got a hold of Povetkin started fighting the complete bums. It's okay for Teddy Atlas's fighters to fight bums and get wins, but any other fighter has to fight knockout, drag out, killer fights in every fight. Otherwise, it's a travesty. And the judges, if they don't agree with Teddy's scorecard, they're being, they're robbing the fighters and everything else. It was terrible to see, to be honest with you, Sal.
Well, it is what it is. I'm telling you right now. And Teddy, I know he's very subjective, very opinionated, and his word is really, even though it may be respected, it's not always right on.
Well, some other news real quick that I'll get you guys caught up on. We're talking about ESPN, Teddy Atlas, Stephen A. Smith in the studio. It was announced over the weekend that Vasily Lomachenko and Terence Crawford are also both coming to ESPN as well. August 5th, when Lomachenko defends his WBO junior lightweight title against Miguel Mariaga. That fight will be on ESPN. And Terence Crawford unifying the title against Julius Indongo will also be on ESPN, which I love that fight. That's
I love it.
that's going to be the first full unification in quite a long time. All 4 belts will be on the line, 4 major belts. So I'm looking forward to that. You remember when Joseph Parker, who happens to be the WBO World Heavyweight Champion, was supposed to fight Hughie Fury, and Fury hurt his back and couldn't fight. Well, that fight's been rescheduled. Hughie Fury is the WBO #1 guy, which I still don't understand how that happened. But September 23rd, it was announced that fight will be taking place. And in England at the Manchester Arena, Joseph Parker said, "I'm excited that the next defense of my WBO title will be in England because it is now the home of heavyweight boxing, and I need to be fighting there regularly. David's done a fantastic job of getting me the deal I want to fight in Manchester. Fighting away from home holds no fears for me. I will arrive having previously fought on an undercard of a Klitschko fight." He says, "I also fought twice in America. I believe that with so many Kiwis and Samoans living in the UK, I'll have even more supporters in the crowd than Hughie Fury." Hughie says, "I've waited so long for this chance, and my team's worked very hard to get me this fight. I'd like to thank everyone involved. I'm going to shock the world and prove all my doubters wrong. And what better place to do it than in my home city of Manchester? Parker's a good fighter, and I got no doubt we'll both bring our A game on fight night. The fight's on, and I can't wait to be crowned heavyweight champion." Speaking of champions, Arthur Abraham and Chris Eubank Jr., where Chris Eubank will be defending his IBO World Super Middleweight title against King Arthur Abraham, will be offered here in the United States on a pay-per-view channel. Also on that card, Lee Selby will be taking on Victor Barrios on that pay-per-view on July 15th. And Fox Sports will be putting on Jamal James, who's 20-1, with 9 knockouts against Jojo Dan, who's 36-4, on July 15th. There's also a fight between Omar Figueroa and Robert Guerrero on that card as well. So we got some decent fights coming up on what I call regular TV, Sal.
I love it. I love it. And you know what? We said it's going to be coming more and more, and I'll tell you, it really is, and that's great. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we were talking about that the other day, how free TV was seemingly heading towards boxing on free TV was coming more and more, and it certainly is the case. One other thing I wanted to mention, we've been talking a lot, Sal, about that World Boxing Super Series. Well, they announced another fighter that's going to be on there participating in the super middleweight division, and that's Jürgen Brähmer, an older fighter. He's going to be joining George Groves, Eric Sokolund, and Jamie Cox as the big names in the super middleweight division. So that whole series for the super middleweight and cruiserweight division is really shaping up, don't you think?
Oh yeah, it is. It's starting to catch on like wildfire. So I'm glad to hear that. It's going to be a pretty good tournament. Very good.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward, especially the cruiserweight tournament on that one. But anyway, hey Sal, we're going to take a short break. We're going to give you a chance to refuel with some coffee and use the turlet. And when we come back, I'm going to have Dax Khan on for a little bit, and then we'll come back to you. All right, my man?
All right, so I'm getting kicked to the curb right now, right?
Yeah, you know why? Because Dax got some stuff to cover, and you know, I don't want to have you just sitting there and trying to say something. And once Dax gets going,
I won't say nothing. No.
We'll be back to you in about 15, my man.
All right, buddy. You guys take care.
That's my man, Sal Rocky Senecola, and don't worry, he'll be back, like a famous actor once said. Oh, no, wait. Was he a governor or was he an actor? Oh, wait. I think he's both. Oh, no, he's a TV commercial guy. Oh, wait. No. But anyway, he said, I'll be back. And I'll say it this way. Sal will be back.
Billy C will be right back. Part of the Billy C Boxing Network.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. And I will give a special shout out to all of our Facebook Live viewers. We appreciate you guys watching the show. Don't forget, the full TV version is simulcast on our YouTube channel. So you can get that just by going to our website, BillyCBoxing.com, or just go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/talkinboxing. That's TALKINBOXING. And if you switch over there now, you're going to get this guy on your screen rather than just hearing him. Joining me right now is my man, Dax Khan. Good morning, Dax.
Give everybody a few seconds to rush over so they get to see me.
I know. In the meantime, why can't I think of the other name? Would you help me out on this? With Jeff Horn, he beat Funica and
Randa Bailey.
Yeah, Bailey. I couldn't think. Today, I don't know. I think Sal slipped me something because my mind is a terrible thing because it's wasted. But anyway, before we talk about the Manny Pacquiao and Horn fight, which you and I already kind of talked about yesterday, I gave you an assignment, and you gave me an email that said you watched it. Was that the most bizarre thing you've ever seen? And boys and girls, we're talking about the Alexander Povetkin against Andre Rudenko fight. If you missed it, the first round was one of the most obscure things I've ever seen in any sport, let alone boxing. Dax, what was your thoughts?
Well, it was definitely odd. No getting around that. Definitely odd. I watched the fight, and what I seen going on there originally is that he just really didn't want to fight. Before that whole thing took place around the 145 mark, Rudenko kind of shook his head after he received that hook from Povetkin, and he was looking at his corner, and he was, you could see he wanted a way out, and then came that uppercut combination from Povetkin, and that really sent Rudenko going back, and then they get tied up a little bit there, and it looked more like a headlock. It wasn't really a punch behind the head. It was more to the top of the back. And then that's all of a sudden, as you stated when we spoke on the phone, he did that little quick crick of his neck, and then all of a sudden he started complaining about the headache, and they bring him back over to the corner, and they're doing physical therapy on him.
I know, that was
never seen before.
That was my point. I have never seen them do the length of work that they did on him. They're working him out. They're giving him a massage. They're doing physical therapy. They're giving him drinks of water. They're wiping the sweat off him. I thought they were going to give him a stool. And meanwhile, and then the other thing was, I'm going, who are they working on? It was like medical people. Then his corner was all out. I've never seen anything like. Then when they said, "Oh, continue," like nothing ever happened, I was like, "Oh my God," But only in Russia.
Well, we've seen haircuts in the ring. We've seen shoes taped in the ring. So these are becoming more and more common. I think Jim Rush should be coming to the boxing commentary a little bit more instead of wrestling, because at least his voice in the background would justify these moments. In my opinion, I'm no doctor, but to me it looked like he kind of irritated his occipital nerve, which is those two nerves that run along the top of your neck, and they run up to the side. And a lot of times you can hurt those just wrestling around, or a lot of people hurt him in minor rear-end car-end accidents. So maybe that was just aggravating him, and they were kind of pinched and they were bothering him. They were trying to loosen him up. I don't think he was really hurt, though.
No, and I think that, and I agree with you, it's definitely something along those lines. But my whole point is that fight should have been a TKO win for Povetkin. And then with the neck, he's got the neck cricked over for the whole fight. He goes 12 with Povetkin. This is a guy that I myself gave a chance to beat Deontay Wilder. I think he's just as finished as apparently Manny Pacquiao is. What's your thoughts? Manny Pacquiao, Jeff Horn. I scored at 115-113 for Manny Pacquiao, but no doubt about it, Manny Pacquiao, his career is pretty much over, at least at the level that we were accustomed to seeing him. And at the very least, he's fighting in the wrong division these days, Dax. He was way smaller, and I think it caught up with him as the fight went on.
Well, the 140-pound division right now would be even worse for him. A guy like Jeff Horn is pretty much where his career is, win or lose. I think, it received a lot of mixed reviews on the internet. Some people say, Horn deserved it. Other people say, Pacquiao didn't do enough. I say it all depends on how you looked at the fight. The argument a lot of people are making is aggression, but when you judge aggression, you judge effective aggression, and Jeff Horn really wasn't that effective with his aggression. He was running in with his head a lot. Those two cuts that Pacquiao suffered, in my opinion, they should have actually forced that to go to the scorecards at some point in time, no matter who was ahead then, because, not one, they were both caused by headbutts, and there were some pretty serious cuts. I'm surprised that Manny actually followed through with that. And some point I thought he actually wanted to give it up. Jeff Horn, he has zero boxing skills, let's be honest. He has a huge heart. Some people were comparing him to Michael Katsidis, which is not a bad comparison. What I do like about Jeff Horn is he has a good story. A school teacher. He's a nice guy. They're not going to give us the endless he survived cancer, or they're not going to give us the endless his background was so brutal. His father used to have to wear work boots from Walmart. His mother was a waitress at Denny's. These type of gimmicks that continue to happen. He's another guy called out Floyd Mayweather, of course. Jeff. Maybe there was a guy who was kind of tough and rugged like you in the past, Ricky Hatton, a little bit more skilled. He called out Floyd Mayweather. We've seen what happened there. So, it's, again, you got to take it for what it is. It's boxing. I do think Manny landed the cleaner shots. I think he was looking to tire out Jeff Horn, and I expected Jeff Horn to be tired out when he was missing a lot, but, his stamina was better than we expected. In the future, what are you going to say? Jeff Horn isn't going to hold that title very long. What I did think, and I have thought in the last few days, is they were doing a lot of comparisons to Manny Pacquiao and Muhammad Ali in that little short bio, so to speak, and how important he is to his people. Now, Muhammad Ali, at this stage of his career, remember, he lost to another Olympian, Leon Spinks. He comes back, he dominates, and he wins his title. Bob Arum, says Jeff Horn is going to be a star. So, is there something working on here? They're going to get this title back from Manny. I don't know, but it is what it is, man. You know, if anything, it was a good match that should have taken place between journeymen, because it was really journeyman type skill and ability in there.
Well, let me make a couple points. Number one, Manny Pacquiao, and I know you and I have talked about this both on air and off air. In the past, when Manny sees his blood, he becomes a different fighter. And he doesn't become more aggressive. He actually goes into a shell. And that's exactly what happened again on Saturday night. Once he saw the blood from the cut on his head, and that one, even though it was bleeding a lot, wasn't really interfering. But I agree with you. The cut on his eye, I was surprised that the corner said they couldn't do anything with it, and they go to the scorecards. But that ninth round, and I also agree with you that I think that Manny Pacquiao's game plan was to tire Jeff Horn out, and for the most part it was working. And he moved in for the kill in the ninth round. But after the ninth round, even though I thought they should have stopped the fight in the corner, I mean, the amount of knots that were on Jeff Horn's head would have had me concerned if I was in the corner and I was the trainer or even related to Jeff Horn. I would be wondering, how he is today, even though he won the fight. But anyway, after that ninth round, and then we all saw the amount of heart and the resurgence of energy that appeared to come into Jeff Horn. It was completely the opposite, Dax, with Manny Pacquiao. He spent and used up his gas never to get it. I thought maybe the 10th he was going to, just take that round off and come out strong, but he couldn't find it again. Do you think that this is a result, and should they have a rematch, is this a result of Manny Pacquiao, let's face it, taking this guy lightly and not putting in the training that they claim they did? We heard all of the BS from Freddie Roach. He's knocking people out. This is not a power puncher anymore. This is a guy that needs to rely on, a lot of punches and conditioning, darting in and out, and he wasn't even doing that.
Manny was never a power puncher. He was exactly what you said. It was always that speed and the abundance of punches that guys never seen coming that built up, and that's what would break guys down. Some guys sooner than later. Again, he's a 38-year-old Manny Pacquiao. Usually in the past, if you remember, when Manny Pacquiao isn't working hard, or he's taking time off, he's doing his duties as a senator or playing basketball, whatever it is. Freddie Roach used to be very vocal about that, saying how Manny isn't coming to the gym and he has to chase him down. And now all of a sudden in this fight, he's talking about how well Manny was working out and he's knocking guys out in the gym. So boxing being the way it is, what does that mean? What you say is usually the opposite. So it very well could be Manny Pacquiao was overlooking this guy, and that's exactly what happened. Plus, he was 38 years old. If Manny Pacquiao would have came out in that 10th round and even gave a 30-second spurt, I think he would have stopped Jeff Horn. I know the next day Jeff Horn wasn't looking very well. I seen some pictures of him in a hospital bed. Whether or not he stayed in the hospital or they just brought him there for precautionary measures to get looked at, Jeff Horn was certainly not doing in the best condition. If you ask somebody at the end of the fight, who would you rather be, Jeff Horn or Manny Pacquiao, I would have said Manny Pacquiao, even though he had those two cuts that were caused by butts. Other than that, Jeff Horn's face was pretty well beat up.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about that. How'd you score the fight?
I scored the fight 116-112 in favor of Pacquiao, only because, not that he did anything spectacular, but he was landing a lot of clean shots, and a lot of those rounds, the mid rounds there, Jeff Horn was lunging in, he was swinging wild, and Manny was avoiding them. He wasn't really answering back, but he was avoiding them and turning Jeff. And again, that showed his age, because in Manny Pacquiao, even 2 or 3 years ago, after he dodged those punches and Jeff Horn turned around, Manny would at least let go of his hands, landed 2 or 3 punches, and made Jeff Horn reset. So, some of those rounds were just more or less, kind of like, I watched an old show yesterday, I think an old episode of Wyatt Earp, the TV Western, and they had this old boxing match from back in the 1800s when they had that little square ring in the middle of town just roped off, and it was exactly like that. They had this young kid, Bat Masterson, was in there fighting against the heavyweight champion, and it was exactly, the heavyweight champion swinging wild, and Bat is just running him in circles, but he's not throwing punches, and that's exactly what I've seen in this fight. So, Maybe that's what hurt Manny, the fact that he was avoiding the shots, but he wasn't throwing anything back after those shots, so it really didn't look appealing to the crowd, and that's what swayed the judges.
Well, the other thing, too, you win as a team, you lose as a team, and I didn't hear any positive or any good instruction coming from a supposedly great trainer in Freddie Roach. He basically did nothing. I also think that Manny Pacquiao's game against a much bigger and obviously stronger Jeff Horn should have been to keep Horn in the center of the ring. And the reason why I say that is because Manny Pacquiao could have been slipping from, to his right, to his left, getting in, darting out. He needed the room. And he was allowing Jeff Horn to get him against the ropes and in the corners where, although Manny was successful in counterpunching, he also was taking some shots. I think that Freddie Roach should have been telling him to keep that fight, keep himself off the ropes, keep that fight in the center of the ring. What's your thoughts?
I don't think, I agree. He shouldn't have. There were several times when he was on the ropes, and I'm saying to myself, if this guy comes in there with the size advantage and maybe, we could see one of those Juan Manuel Marquez moments where he just happens to catch Manny, and Manny ends up face first. But on the other hand, too, I don't think Jeff Horn really has that much pop behind his punches because he doesn't sit down on his punches. A lot of them are just, swing wild shots. There was a few that when he did land flush, we did see a small glimpse of the old Manny Pacquiao when he banged his gloves together and he waved them in. And when he did that, Jeff Horn didn't seem like he even knew how to capitalize on those. So that tells me right there the exact skill set of Jeff Horn. And it's more or less going to be a setup fight for somebody bigger in the division. I know Danny Garcia is already calling him out. And I can see that that fight happening because Jeff Horn, there's not many options for him out there. The top guys in that division, aside from Manny Pacquiao, would pretty much eat him alive. I couldn't see him beating a Keith Thurman. I couldn't see him outboxing a Danny Garcia. And I definitely could not see him beating Errol Spence. So in my opinion, the future for Jeff Horn is maybe one more big fight. If the Pacquiao rematch doesn't happen, maybe the Garcia fight. And then what happens after that is Garcia will face either Errol Spence or he'll face rematch Keith Thurman, and then eventually in a year or two time down the road, Errol Spence Jr. is going to own the division. Everybody else is going to be an also-ran.
You also wanted to talk about the PBC card, the scoring on that, as well as Al Bernstein, uncharacteristically pretty vocal about the commentating job that was on the ESPN card. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, Al Bernstein, during the event, he comes out and he says, he goes, I seldom criticize colleagues, but I cringe when announcers who don't really know boxing degenerate fighters or insult fighters, so to speak. Perhaps Stephen A. Smith, as he said about Horn's opponents, Randall Bailey, Ali Funeka. He should have did some research and realized just 5 years ago Randall Bailey was a world champion. And he said, when I am a guest on other sports that I'm not an expert in, I kind of do my homework. I make sure that I'm able to at least discuss the main people or the main topic of what's going on so I can stay in my lane and don't overstep myself, and that's what Stephen A. Smith did here, and that is very uncharacteristic of Al Bernstein. But again, I can understand where Al Bernstein was coming from because Stephen A. Smith was literally insulting some guys that were very good fighters, even if they were on the downside when Jeff Horn fought them. These are guys that are former world champions, and they were very good fighters in their day. So, and they are the type of guys that somebody who is a 17-0 would face on his way up towards a title opportunity.
Right. No, well, Stephen A. Smith ruined the broadcast 100%. What about the scoring on the PBC card from Friday night?
Now, the PBC card, my gosh, was that... I'll tell you, number one, I don't know if you've seen it, just the quality of the broadcast itself. You'd have thought somebody from ringside was streaming this on their phone on a very poor Facebook live feed because it kept pixelating and breaking up. It wasn't just on my TV. A lot of people were speaking about this on social media. Now, when you get into the two fights, the Robert Easter Dennis Shafikov fight, and then after that the Jamonte Clark versus Ivan Golub fight. First of all, we'll go into that one. Clark is a fighter who has more undeserved hype than any other prospect prospect I can think of as of late. He doesn't use his height. He fouled at every opportunity. Ivan Golub, who wasn't really a special fighter, was easily dominating that fight. How Javante Clark was allowed to actually push him down at one point in time over the top rope and literally put the forearm and rub it into his face, and the referee never said a word. Javante Clark, in my opinion, he could have been DQ'd. There should have been at least a point taken away. So he's a prime reason, and that fight is a prime reason why the PBC is going down the toilet quicker than the Tidy Bowl man in a race. Now, when you go over to the main event with Robert Easter Jr. and Dennis Shafikov, Robert Easter Jr. I was never really high on, but you figure maybe he has some potential. His win against Richard Comey was very questionable, same as was Shafikov's. Both of those guys, I believe, got the hometown advantage. Shafikov won in Russia. Easter won against Comey on a PBC event. Easter Jr. and Adrian Broner protege. He resembles Broner in many ways. One of the ways he resembles Broner the most is he doesn't know how to deal with a pressure fighter, and he really didn't know how to deal with Dennis Shafikov coming forward. The times that he did box, he did well from a distance, but when Shafikov closed that distance, he didn't know what to do. And that's exactly what we saw with Adrian Broner, dating all the way back to his first fight with Daniel Ponce de Leon. After the fight, what does Robert Easter Jr. do? He embarrasses himself by doing an Adrian Broner impression. He calls Adrian Broner my big bro, and then when they ask him who do you want to fight next, he says anybody can get it. In my opinion, what's going to happen to Robert Easter Jr. if he doesn't change up his team and find somebody new to hang out with, he's going to end up very much like an Adrian Broner, and the next time he faces somebody a little bit better than a Dennis Shafikov, maybe a rematch against the Richard Comey or actually a Ray Beltran type guy, I think he's going to end up very much with the same way that Adrian Broner did when Adrian Broner fought Marcos Maidana. I hate to see stuff like this happen with these young kids because you're literally watching a career unfold in front of you. And, Robert Easter Jr., he's a prospect, but as Teddy Atlas stated, the one thing I did like what he said is that, we have this thing in America where they started giving out these prizes for everybody with a solid effort. In boxing, it's very much like that when it comes to world titles, and there's so many of them that so many guys can have them, and so many guys can call themselves world champions when they're not ready to be world champions, and it brings down the quality of the sport. And Robert Easter Jr. is that type of guy. Maybe in the future he's ready to be a world champion, but right now he's just, a belt holder and waiting to have that taken away.
Right. It's called precipitation trophies. They give them to the kids, and that's this world, at least here in the United States, that's what it is. Everybody gets a trophy. Now in boxing, if you're a pro for 10 fights or more, you get one too. You get a belt, it's sad. It's sad, really.
You mentioned the Michael Conley before, and how they were really hard on him, saying, the guy that he's facing is nothing special. And yes, he wasn't. His opponent, I believe, that was the third time in his opponent's career they had thrown the towel in during the fight, so that wasn't a surprise. But, on the other hand, too, you know what? Not everybody's a Vasyl Lomachenko, where in your third or fourth professional fight, you're facing somebody on the level of an Orlando Salido that Orlando Salido was at the time when Vasyl Lomachenko faced him. So, there's guys who rush too soon, and then on the other side, there's too many expectations put onto these guys. There's no happy medium inside the sport, and a lot of it is because you get someone like a Stephen A. Smith who doesn't really know what he's doing inside there, and he shouldn't be calling boxing.
Well, they're looking for entertainment, and he's a joke, so I guess that's funny entertainment. But, hey, one last thing I want to ask you. Give us an idea of what was being said on social media during the Pacquiao Jeff Horn fight.
People were just basically, we summed it up. Some people were surprised at the fact that Manny Pacquiao had actually had such a hard time. Other people, felt that the referee maybe should have stepped in there a little bit and said something about those headbutts. But, the reviews on exactly who won and who didn't win have been mixed right down the middle. Nobody really had argued one way or another. It's split down the middle. It basically, more or less, the overall opinion is that, Manny Pacquiao, it's time for him to hang him up because as Mike Tyson said after the, I think when he fought Kevin McBride, if I can't beat an opponent of this level, I'm embarrassing the sport, and it's time for me to retire.
And he did the right. I mean, he was smart to say that, and he was right. I mean, listen, my favorite short story about boxing, written by Jack London. I tell everybody all the time. It got me into boxing when I was a kid. I don't know if I was in 5th or 6th grade. It's called A Piece of Steak. And if you've never read it and you can't find it, email me, Billy@talkinboxing, TalkinBoxing.com, and I'll send you a copy. It basically tells you, it's the story of a young fighter who's good, who's talented, taking on an older fighter who had seen his better days and was a great fighter, and how at the end of the road, nobody beats Father Time. And maybe that's what we saw with Manny Pacquiao and Jeff Horn on Saturday night, Dax.
Father Time is undefeated, and he always will be, as far as I know, unless somebody should come up with something that, I don't know. If somebody should happen to come up with a way to beat Father Time, I would definitely like to know. So this way, if I should ever have to approach him, whether no matter what it is, a win against Father Time makes anybody an all-time great. One thing, I speak about this kid Joseph Landeros out of California, the 16-year-old pro who turned professional last year. He's a former national and silver gloves champion. This kid had his 9th win this past weekend against a more experienced opponent. Anybody who's never seen this kid, type him up, or you can go to my Facebook page and see highlights of this fight. The skill that this kid possesses is absolutely amazing. And what really impresses me most about this young man is that he's 16 years old. He's a full-time high school student, and he's an honor roll student that shares his report cards throughout the year with everybody on social media. So this is a kid right here that in the future I have a feeling is going to be a world champion. And if you ever get a chance, check this kid out. He's really exciting. One last thing, a shout out to Dale from Ohio, who was speaking to me on Twitter Saturday night. He said that he's a big fan of the show, and he tunes in all the time to watch me, you, and Sal. So Dale, thanks a lot for tuning in. And last thing is that Stephen Hatton from over in the UK, he's a fan of the show, and he said to me, he says, Dax, do me a favor. Do not mention Heather Hardy to Billy C on the show, because that really seems to upset him a lot, mate, and he might have an aneurysm.
He's right, and it has nothing to do with Heather Hardy. It just has to do with anyway. Women's boxing is just not going down the path that I wish it was. But Dax, great job, and we'll look forward to you next time later in the week, my man.
All right, everybody, enjoy your 4th of July.
That's Dax Khan, and he was giving us his thoughts on a bunch of stuff, and we're glad he had some time. And I'm glad that we got to hear from some of you guys from social media. Dax is proficient at getting your messages out to us. And feel free, if you take the time to drop me an email, I'll take the time to read it. And speaking of emails, we read all of our emails, but we're going to give you our final thoughts on Manny Pacquiao against Jeff Horn. What happens next? Sal will be back with me, but rather than bring Sal on for a second and then take a break, I'm going to take a break right now.
Billy C will be right back. Part of the Billy C Boxing Network.
Currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
This message is for all Americans that owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS. Look, I know you want to keep ignoring those letters, but the problem isn't going away. It's really stressful, and you don't know where to turn.
The good news is you have rights, and we can help resolve your IRS problems.
If you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes, our qualified CPAs, tax negotiators, and support staff know the law and know how to get your situation under control legally and permanently.
Call the number on your screen now and we will contact the IRS on your behalf, help you end wage garnishments, stop collection calls, remove tax liens, get rid of IRS and state tax penalties, and reduce the amount you owe if you qualify. You wouldn't go to fix your car without going to a mechanic, so why face the IRS without an experienced company that can help you?
Let us take the stress of back taxes and the IRS off your shoulders so you can spend time on the important things in your life, like your family or your business. If you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes, call now and find out how we can help you.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you!
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. And don't forget, we are not doing a live show tomorrow on Independence Day, 4th of July. But we will be back on Wednesday. We have our Blast from the Past. Alice Papali will be here. We also have Boxing Hall of Famer Larry Hazard with us. And, of course, we'll have this guy who's back with us right now, my man Sal Rocky Senecola. And, Sal, you know, we were talking more about the Manny Pacquiao-Jeff Horn fight. And, you know, I ask you this. What's next for Manny Pacquiao? Should he pursue the rematch? I mean, you know, you kind of indicated you thought the same result might happen, even worse. You think Horn would win. You know, are you factoring in anything that could be tweaked? Like, for example, the training. You know, was Manny really in shape? I mean, there were a lot of indications that he did not give this training camp his all. The second thing is, what about Freddie Roach? I mean, you know, I know you've been critical of him in the past as well as I. I didn't hear any kind of instructional criticism from him between rounds. I thought that Manny Pacquiao should have been fighting in the center of the ring, not letting himself get against the ropes. I mean, there are some adjustments that could be made, even as a fighter, you know, like Manny, who's 38 and obviously has lost some of his skills or some of his skills have diminished. What takes place? Is there going to be a rematch? Can there be changes, or should Manny ride off into the sunset?
Well, you know, you mentioned all scenarios there, and either option or all those options are viable, and depends on what he feels in his heart of hearts. I mean, like I said, I think that if they fought again, yeah, you could make some adjustments. Manny, I just saw how he was so easily put on the ropes by a locomotive coming forward. And not that this guy's punches were accurate or anything, but they just came coming. And so did his wheels, his legs. And, you know, Manny backed up and he was on the ropes. And this guy then would tee off to the body, to the head. Do I still think he won? No, I think it was a very close fight, but I could see how, being subject to the individual judging the fight, how he could have actually seen the fight go differently than what I did. Manny's a legend. I mean, I love Manny. I respect Manny. But if he's going to fight again, maybe just take one more rematch here and do it. But Manny's going to have trouble at this weight class and at this age. I mean, he definitely, you know, if he was a lightweight or if he was going down, I don't know. Might he be able to sustain a career for a little longer? And then you got to ask yourself, why? Why bother? Why? I mean, he seems to be healthy mentally, physically, and, you know, why jeopardize that going forward? He's already a legend and stellar and going to be a Hall of Famer. So I don't know. Those are questions that he's going to have to ask himself. And but I think if he's going to fight, have the rematch with Horn and see how that goes. Make the adjustments.
One of the things that I have said publicly on this show, and also have talked privately, is that ever since Manny Pacquiao became a politician, he's become more of a humanitarian. And that killer instinct of what we used to see of Manny Pacquiao in the ring, especially when he got his opponent hurt, or if he sensed his opponent weakening or something, he would go in for that kill. Or if he got mad, you get mad. Back in the day, if you got Manny Pacquiao mad, you were in for an onslaught. That seems to be missing, Sal. And, it's something that, Freddie Roach is always trying to say, oh, it's back, oh, it's this, it's that. You're going to see the knockouts, you're going to see this. But I don't see it. Even in a fight that took place on Saturday against Jeff Horn, a guy, like you said earlier in the show, and I agree with you 110%, and I've always said this about these young fighters that step in the ring with Floyd Mayweather, that you got to, treat those kinds of fighters with zero respect. And you need to bully those types of fighters, just like Jeff Horn bullied and treated Manny Pacquiao with zero respect. It worked for him.
Yes, it did.
And maybe Manny was expecting a little bit of respect from Jeff Horn that he didn't get. Didn't have a plan B. Did not get the instruction from his corner. Didn't really know what to do. Is it because the lack of interest? Does he just not have the killer instinct and he can't awaken it anymore? I mean, like Dax just said, Mike Tyson said after Kevin McBride beat him, if I can't beat a guy like that, I need to hang him up. Is Manny saying that this morning?
I think he's definitely questioning himself, and I think he's definitely looking in the mirror, and I think he's definitely doing some soul searching. His best opportunity was at round 9. And, I didn't think Jeff Horn was going to get out of that round.
No, wait, you know what? His best opportunity was round 10.
Well,
after that night.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to get out of that round. And you know what? The one thing I credit the referee coming over to Horn's corner saying, hey, look, I got to protect you guys. If you don't show me something this round, I'm going to have to stop this fight. And I'll be damned. But Jeff Horn went out there and he won the 10th round. Manny should have jumped on him, pick it up where he left off, and not let that ever happen. And he couldn't do it. Whether it was the lack of killer instinct, the lack of endurance, the lack of something lacked is what I'm saying. And it was an empty tank or whatever it might have been. But that minute rest in between the 9th and the 10th round, maybe he should have been told in the corner, hey, man, you got him hurt now, Manny. This is the time. This is how you put him away. He's a young, strong kid. Shut him up, put him up, and go out there with a fury and spend your tank right now. That's what he should have been told by Freddie Roach.
Well, maybe Freddie Roach did tell him that. And then Manny said, spend my tank. I left it in the 9th round. Because that's what it appeared to me, Sal.
I think Jeff Horn stayed at that Holiday Inn Express.
I think he stayed as a classic world champion. But all credit to Jeff Horn. Won the fight. Yeah, you can't take anything away.
He rose to the occasion, Bill. He did what we said. Don't treat the opponent don't treat the champ or whatever with respect. Rise to the occasion. Know that this is your one opportunity. And Jeff Horn took all of that and he said, this is my opportunity to shine. This is my opportunity on a world stage. I'm not just a backyard fighter in my home country, and I'm going to show the world what I could do. And he did it against an opponent that obviously had the respect and recognition of the world audience.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Manny. We'll all keep our eyes on it. Again, Manny Pacquiao, in my opinion, won the fight. It was a close fight. I don't call it a robbery, unlike Teddy Atlas. I scored the fight 115-113, in favor of Manny Pacquiao. The 9th round was a important round for Manny Pacquiao. Could not capitalize on it, like Sal just said. And in addition to that, he never really even came close to another round like round 9 for the remainder of the fight, when you would have thought that he would have. Jeff Horn was on the verge, was fighting really to keep the fight going, and he was able to summon up some heart and determination and energy that Manny couldn't. Manny been there, done that. I'm always critical of trainers that say we, and then after the fight it's he, and not laughing. I think that Manny Pacquiao, did not get the proper instruction in the corner from Freddie Roach, and whether he did or didn't tell him to do what I thought he should have done, that's what Manny needed to do in this fight. He's his skills are diminishing, and he needs to even it up a little. So the best thing for him to do would have been movement, darting in and out like he does, but he definitely didn't want to get against the ropes or in the corner to let the bigger, stronger man lean on him and sap energy from him. And I think that's what ended up happening, Sal.
Yes, you're 100% right, because like I said, I saw a bigger Jeff Horn use his momentum, his weight, his body, and when I saw Manny Pacquiao's back to the ropes, and Jeff Horn, go back and look at some of those body shots that he dished out to Manny on the ropes and everything else. He was just a bigger, stronger, younger opponent at that stage, giving Manny all that he could weather, and that is to his credit. He fought his fight. Manny didn't fight his fight.
I
but
think
Jeff Horn fought his fight.
I think Manny should have worked the body a little more.
He should have.
I didn't see any body shots from Manny.
There was nothing.
And the one thing I did notice from Jeff Horn is when they were in the clinches and before the referee came to break him up, Jeff Horn was giving him little shots in the side of the head and to the side of the body, and those take their toll on you too. If anything, they piss you off. And I thought at some point that Manny, was a little mad, but he couldn't summon up some really mean streaks that he used to have. Terrence Crawford type mean streak. Where he really wanted to issue a beating on Jeff Horn. He just didn't seem it. I think he was more surprised that Jeff Horn kept coming at him, and the end result was a loss, a close loss, but a loss nonetheless.
That's right. No, it's true. And like I said, Jeff Horn, to his credit, and Dax said it right. I mean, the guy doesn't really have too much boxing skill, but he was just a young locomotive coming forward, throwing punches and bunches, and that's what was in the judges' minds. Because you know what? It did register in my mind, too. I saw this guy coming forward, throwing punches and pushing Manny back. And then when he's on the ropes, I saw those shots to the side of the body. I saw the shots to the head, and I saw some shots. And I saw Manny trying to counterpunch and trying to do things, and he had some success when he was in the middle of the ring. But the fight was that was Jeff Horn's fight, in a sense, where Manny fought more of a fight for Jeff Horn than Jeff Horn fighting the fight for Manny.
Exactly. Manny Pacquiao fought right into Jeff Horn's fight, and like I've always said, great trainers are the ones that are able to make adjustments during the fight. Whether Freddie Roach was trying to make the adjustments and Manny wasn't listening, or maybe Freddie wasn't saying anything because Manny knows it all, I don't know. But the right adjustments weren't made for Manny. And on the other side of the coin, Jeff Horn, he did the same thing from round 1 through round 12. They didn't make any adjustments, but youth prevailed. And heart and determination prevailed, and like you say all the time, he rose to the occasion. And hats off to Jeff Horn. I mean, he won the fight. In my opinion, I thought Manny won the fight by, a round. But I'm not going to call it a robbery. It's not a robbery.
Not a robbery.
A robbery is what one judge scored it as. 117, 111. That's a robbery. And I say that because, you can't score that for either side with a real conscience, So that judge was going to score it for Horn, whether he was knocked out and carried out on a stretcher or not, and that's the disheartening thing, Sal.
Well, and you are right there, because when I heard first the scores, which were unanimously, all judges had it for Horn, which kind of shocked me, but we didn't know that. The scores were just being read. And when I heard that the separation of those points. What was it? 117 and 112.
117, 111, and 115,
111.
113, all in favor of. And then when I heard
when he said the new,
I was shocked. I was shocked. I was like,
I was shocked. But when I said that, I said, well, I saw Manny winning, but I didn't see him winning by that large of a margin. And then when it came out,
Freddie did.
More, and I said, whoa, hey, whoa, something there.
I mean, Teddy Atlas did, and Freddie Roach did. You know, Freddie and Teddy, they both thought that Manny won by that large of a margin. So, you know, I mean, it is what it is. But anyway, we like we said earlier, we will not be doing a live show tomorrow on 4th of July. We will be back on Wednesday, better than ever. But on this day in boxing history, July 3rd, in 1899, Frank Earn wins a 20-round decision over Kid Levine to win the world lightweight title. It took place in Buffalo. On this day in 1926, Sammy Mandel wins a 10-round decision over Rocky, Kansas to win the world lightweight title. It took place in Chicago. Here's a little answer to a trivia question that we have had on this show. Who was the first former world champion that significant fighter, former world champion that used the name Rocky? And Rocky, Kansas is the answer. So keep that one in the back of your minds, because it will be a trivia question. On this day in 1974, Su Huan Hong wins a 15-round decision over Arnold Taylor to win the WBA World Bantamweight title, and that took place in South Africa. On this day in 2004, Yutaka Niada wins a 12-round decision over Noel Armbrulette to regain the WBA strawweight title. It took place in Tokyo. On this day in 1905, Marvin Hart knocks out Jack Root in the 12th round to win the vacant world heavyweight title, and that took place in Reno, Nevada. On this day in 1905, James Jeffries, who relinquished the title, was the referee in that fight. And he picked Marvin Hart and Jack Root to contend for his belt, which he felt there were no worthy contenders for him to fight. So he retired, picked the two guys himself who was going to fight for his belt, and then that's why many people still regarded him as the world champion, because he never lost his title in the ring until Jack Johnson, my man, whooped his ass. And finally, on this day, July 3rd in 1931, Max Schmeling knocks out Young Stribling in the 15th round to retain his world heavyweight title in Ohio. This fight was a great fight and earned Ring Magazine's Fight of the Year in 1931. Another side note about this fight, the fight was stopped 14 seconds into the final round, and many people believed that Young Stribling was winning this fight, and it was stopped. And Cleveland, Ohio was the location. So excellent fight. But don't think that fights get stopped early only today, because they used to get stopped early back in the day as well. Sal, any final thoughts, my man?
No, I'm just probably going to watch the fight one more time.
Try and if you get a chance, and I say this to everyone else,
look at the neck.
Yeah,
the neck.
Try and find, I'm sure there's going to be a copy of it, the Alexander Povetkin and Andrei Rudenko fight from Russia took place over the weekend. Watch the first round and let me know if you've ever seen anything so outrageous in your life. They practically brought a bed and oxygen for this guy to revive him and then let the fight continue. It was the most absurd thing I've ever seen. But one more time, we will not be here tomorrow. So if you are going to be celebrating the 4th of July with fireworks, be careful. Don't be blowing your hands apart, because then you can't work your magic and get here on Wednesday when we return. So all I'll say is this. Make sure you guys tune in Wednesday morning, same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, ciao, baby.
Whoa.